In this lesson, we're going to talk about the different question types you are likely to meet in the IELTS academic reading test. There are about 11 question types you should endeavor to familiarize yourself with once you decide to write the IELTS academic reading test. And we are going to look at each one of them in this lesson. I'll mention and then show them to you so that you get a better understanding of it. So that at the end of the day, if you are practicing your IELTS academic reading test and then you come across any one of them, you'll be able to identify which question type it is and then how to go about it. And then remember that I'll be showing you how to answer each one of them in the last section of this course, which is section 5. So enjoy this lesson to the fullest. The first question type we're going to talk about is this is an example of a summary completion. This is where a section of the passage has been summarized and some gaps are left for you to provide answers. Now, what I want you to understand here is that every answer you need to fill up these gaps can be found in the passage, and then it is up to you to deduce strategies to find the answers from the passage. Another important thing I would want to mention about this question type is that the answers come in a chronological order. What do I mean by this? Let me explain. So let's say the answer to question 1 here is creativity. Now what happens here is that if you are looking for the answer to question 2, as you can see on here, then it should be coming right under where you found the answer to question 1. So if this is question 1, the answer to question 2 should be coming down here, probably in any of these paragraphs. So that's what I mean by the answers come in a chronological order. The next question type we're going to look at is what is termed as the true, false, not given. So let me show you what this question type looks like. Now when you look on here, this is a true or false, not given question type. We've come from question 9 to 13. What is the impression of these question types? It's very simple. Now the instructions are usually given to you as you can see on here. So you've got true, false, not given, and then the explanation has been stated on here for you. But then the general idea I want you to understand is that you have some statements that have been picked from the passage. These statements may be paraphrased. What this means is that they may not be exactly the same in words as it is stated in the passage, but have the same meaning. You are going to discover as to whether that statement you find on here is true, false, or not given. Now, if it is true, what this means is that the statement here agrees with what is stated in the passage. If it is false, the statement here contradicts what is stated in the passage, and if it's not given, the statement cannot be found in the passage at all. So this is the general idea when it comes to answering this question type. And here, what you have to understand is that the answers come in a chronological order as I explained earlier. So what this means is that if you found the statement to question 9 in the 4th paragraph here, the statement to question 10 probably should be looked out for in the next paragraph. You don't go up looking for that. Okay, so that's what I mean by the chronological order. And the good news is that I'll be showing you how to answer these individual question types in the next 3 sections. Yes, no, not given. This is another question type when it comes to the IELTS academic reading test. This is not so much different from the true, false, not given. With this question type, the answers come in a chronological order as I explained, okay? Probably if you should find question 32 in paragraph A, what happens here is that the answer to question 33 may come under where you found question 32 or in the next paragraph. And if you are stuck as to what this question type means, the instructions are given on here. So if your answer is here, so what happens here is that the statement, which is one of these, agrees with the claims of the writer. So remember that the writer makes a claim or a statement or an assertion in a paragraph. Probably they would want you to find out if any of these statements, as mentioned on here, agrees with the writer's claim or not. Now if it agrees, then the answer is yes. And if it doesn't, or probably if it contradicts, you choose no. And if it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about this, or if it's not found in the passage at all, you have to go for not given, as the name implies. You will look at how to answer this question type as well in the section 5 of this course. The next question type I'm going to talk about here is what is called the margin information. So now this is an example of a margin information question type. So you can see that you've got question 14 to 18. And the instruction says that which paragraph contains the following information. So now we've got some information on here. Each of the information here, you'll be looking at the paragraph that contains it. It's as simple as that. So now when you pick the question 14, a description of how people misused a bike sharing scheme, the question is to ask yourself is, which of these paragraphs contain that information? Or which of the paragraphs here contains that information? The same trick goes if you pick question 15, an explanation of why a proposed bike sharing scheme was turned down. The question is to ask yourself is, which of these paragraphs contain that information? Or which of these paragraphs contain such information? So that's the general idea when it comes to the margin information. And with this type of questions, what happens here is that you have to go through the entire passage to be able to deduce which paragraphs has this statement. I know at this particular point, the question you're asking is, how do I answer this question type? You don't have to worry about that. You'll be looking at them in the section 5 of this course. The next question type you are going to look at with regards to the IELTS academic reading test is termed as the margin features. What is the impression of this? Let's look at it. Now, this is a similar example of a margin feature question type. So you can see on here that I've got some statements from question 27 to 31, and you're supposed to match this information or this statement to a list of researcher over here. So this type of question is termed as the margin feature. Probably it may not always be names of researchers, it can be any other thing, but so far as you see it structured this way, it is termed as the margin features. So for example, if you pick the first statement, which is hotel managers need to know what would encourage good staff to remain. So the question is to ask yourself is, who among these researchers made such statements? If it is Marudas et al., you just have to match them with that. So it's as simple as that. So you can see the difference between the margin features and that of the margin information. How do you answer this question type? You look at them in section 5. The next question type you are looking at here is the margin headings. Let's look at an example and I'll tell you what to do when you get a question like that. So now, as you can see on here, this is an example of a margin heading question type. So you can see that I've got a list of headings right from I to IX, and then we've got some sections on here. Now these sections represent the paragraph. So if we should turn to the paragraphs, you can see that they have been lettered from A to H. And then when you look at the questions on here, they have been lettered from section A to section H. The general impression about margin heading question types is that, you're supposed to pick out the subject matter of a particular paragraph. So for example, when you look at paragraph A, the question you should ask yourself is, what is the main thing this paragraph is talking about? What's the general idea? If you're supposed to summarize this paragraph in just a sentence, what would you say? So that's the impression of the margin heading question types. So when you look at a list of headings here, they are just the summarized versions of the paragraphs. The next question type we are going to look at here is what is termed as the sentence completion. So, as the name implies, sentence completion. You are completing a sentence. Let me show you an example of how these question types look like and how to approach it. So now when you come on here, we've got a similar question which is from 35 to 37. So this is an example of a sentence completion. And you've got a sentence and a space or a gap have been left for you to provide an answer. It's much more similar to the summary completion, but in this case, it's just one sentence at a time, just as you are seeing on here. So 35 says numerous training sessions are aimed at people who feel they are not enough. So a gap has been left here and you're supposed to provide an answer. One good thing about this question type is that it comes in a chronological order as I explained. And every answer you need to fill this gap can be found in the passage, and it's up to you to deduce a strategy to find the answers as quickly as possible. The next question type we are going to look at here is the multiple choice question type 1. Apparently, you've got 2 multiple choice questions when it comes to the IELTS academic reading test. So this is the first one you're seeing on the board. You've got a question and then you have 4 options from A to D. And you're supposed to choose just one answer, and I'll show you how to go about this as the course surges on. So this is an example of a multiple choice question type 1. So you shouldn't be surprised when you meet a question type like this in your IELTS academic reading test examination. Now let's look at the multiple choice type 2, and probably I'll let you understand the difference between this and then that. Alright, so this is how the multiple choice question type 2 looks like. So I'm just going to give a bit of difference between this and then the type 1. Remember, in the type 1 you're supposed to choose just one option, but here you are choosing more than one option. The basic difference between the type 1 and the type 2 is for the fact that With a type 1, you're just choosing one answer, but with a type 2, you are choosing more than one option. Mostly it's just 2. You may also come across diagrams, tables, flowcharts in the IELTS academic reading test, and probably there will be questions for you to answer. Instead of you are filling in the tables, you are labeling the diagram or something like that. So just take notice of that. But the most common ones are what I've showed you. Now that you understand every bit of the question types and that you have familiarized yourself with them, you're going to look at the marking criteria. So what's the actual marks you need to be able to pursue the course for which you are writing the IELTS academic reading test? You'll be looking at that in a minute. So come with me in the next lesson.